Hi, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This is the show all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager, a farmer, or a fruit producer selling at farmers markets, or just a curious farmers market shopper, this is the podcast for you. For today's episode, we're doing a special roundtable discussion with the Tent Talk hosts, and we answer some tricky farmers market questions we've received from vendors. Hi, I'm your host, Bridget Myers. I've spent years as an on-site farmers market manager, and I've done it all from pulling permits to social media marketing.
And I'm your other host, Justine Marzoni-Mead. I'm a hot sauce maker, farmers market vendor, and event facilitator for the Intense Conference.
And I'm Kat Fields-White, Director of San Diego Markets and founder of the Intense Conference. I'm also still an active farmers market manager. So welcome back to Tent Talk. Today we're doing something new. Instead of interviewing a farmers market expert, we're going to use our own expertise to answer questions we received from our farmers market vendors. We actually had a Vendor 101 class yesterday, and we had some terrific questions come out of that class, and others that have been emailed in or in comments on the podcast.
All right, so I'm going to read these questions just because I've never been a vendor. I know I teach a class for vendors, but I think Justine and Kat are a little more experts in this field, so I'm
especially Justine. We're relying on Justine here.
Yes, we're really leaning on you, Justine. Okay, don't let us down.
No pressure.
No pressure.
But I guess these are vendor questions. Yeah, questions from vendors. So some of these would be market manager appropriate, right?
Absolutely, actually, yes, because I think these are questions that market managers could also listen to, because if their vendors are having these issues, they can help support them and, let them know what to do when they're in these kind of pickles.
Absolutely.
All right.
Pickles.
Pickles.
That's a good thing for vendors to sell.
I hope a pickle vendor is listening right now. All right, well, so we'll start with this first question. I want to sell baked goods at the farmer's market, but when I applied, the market manager said there are already too many baked good vendors. I'm afraid my category is fully saturated. Do you think I should abandon my idea and try to sell something else? Justine? Well, what do we think?
I mean, that would depend on... Baked goods is a big, big category. Yeah. So when you say baked goods, we don't really know what the issue is in there. I mean, if you're applying and you want to sell chocolate chip cookies, yep, your category is saturated.
Yeah, I think every farmer's market has a chocolate chip cookie vendor.
That's right.
Yeah, I'd say it really comes down to, are you doing something that's different in any way, or are you just kind of doing basics? You were talking about this in Vendor 101 yesterday. Like, if you're going to sell a chocolate chip cookie, is it the best freaking chocolate chip cookie in the world?
Yeah.
Because if not, you are probably going to have a hard time selling at the farmer's market anyway. But if you're doing something special like vegan chocolate chip cookies, like Maya, and she does fantastic, or you're doing gluten-free bread, or you're doing some sort of specific type of baked good, like...
I think pie pops is the wave of the future.
Pie pops?
Kat really wants a pie pop vendor. She talks about it all the time. It's so weird.
Like a little pie on a stick?
Yeah.
I don't even know how practical that is.
Tasty. Wouldn't it be tasty?
Yes, it would be tasty.
Yeah, so if you're selling something like pie on a stick, or something we've never seen before, or... I don't know, like a specific type of baked goods that differentiates yourself in some way than kind of the typical baguette or...
Right, yeah, something different. Yeah. There's just so many people that bake. It is one of the cooking skills that almost everybody picks up at some point. So you do have to make sure that it's differentiated. That's true of all products, but just especially baked good, there's an awful lot of bakers out there. So you got to be doing something that's different. And sometimes your packaging is a large part of it. If you can figure out how to make a great baked product that's not absolutely unique, but that's well packaged or put together in a different combination of things.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what would be differentiated, at least here in San Diego, is sliced bread to make a sandwich. Almost nobody at the market sells sliced bread. It's all whole loaves.
That's
true. There was a vendor...
You're not going to slice your bread,
are you, Bridget? I don't want to do
anything
in my home kitchen. I want you to do it for me, and I will literally just buy
so sliced bread, I think, actually would be really popular.
If you can make a sandwich for me with that sliced bread, that'd be great.
It's a great way to differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
That's right.
Make a sandwich for Bridget.
That'll get you right in. Yeah, but I think baked goods is kind of broad, and we always have in our class every month people who want to sell baked goods, and it's really about what can the market bear. And so also, I don't know if this potential vendor has been looking at different markets, or if she's zeroed in on one particular market that has a full category, baked good category, because some markets only have like one or two baked good vendors for whatever reason. People have opened up their own bakery, or they've moved away, and so maybe there is kind of like a niche she can fill. Can she make scones or like something particular that people like at farmers markets that isn't currently available there?
Or like bagels, or
Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah.
selling
Bagels.
pizza dough.
Biscuits, other than the Portland
biscuit.
market. Most markets are missing biscuits. I think that'd be a big one. Cornbread. We never seen cornbread.
Yeah, maybe seasonal baked good items or something. I mean, get creative. Don't just try to have a bakery with just basic things. I mean, get creative. Look outside the box. I think vegan, gluten-free, all these little niches that people are interested in now can make a difference.
Yeah.
Don't stop baking.
Don't stop baking.
You'll figure it out.
Yeah. Don't give up.
Don't give up. Send me your samples. I'll help you.
Or pie pops.
Or pie
Or
pops.
make a pie pop.
Or make a pie pop.
Move
'Cause
to
you will
San
be
Diego
in
and make a pie pop.
Anywhere. I think
Anywhere.
anywhere would appreciate a pie pop.
Now I want a pie pop. I should have brought food today. Okay. Question number 2. I'm about to start selling barbecue at the farmer's market and need to figure out my pricing. Should I include tax in my prices so that they are round numbers, or add tax at the end? I don't want to have to make complicated change all the time, but I don't want to turn off customers with higher prices. That's a good question.
That's
That's a good question.
That actually applies to most things where you have to charge tax.
Yeah.
So this question probably applies to some states more than others. Here in California and in some other states, there are no tax on grocery items. But there are taxes on dining. So the fact that this vendor wants to sell barbecue, they are going to have to charge tax. So it's a matter of figuring out, are you going to charge somebody $8.68 for a barbecue sandwich, or are you going to charge them $9 and figure you'll back the tax out of that?
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to this person for even knowing that you have to do that.
That's right, because a lot of
So many
people
small
don't
businesses,
realize. That's
they
true.
start and then they're like, what?
Tag.
So good job.
Yeah, you're
Done
ahead of
your
the game.
homework.
You're a step ahead. So what do you guys do with your hot sauce, Justine? At the moment?
Well, ours is a
groceries.
grocery
grocery,
non-taxable
sure,
item,
yeah.
so we don't have to charge tax. But I would say as a vendor, change is
Who wants to
tough.
be dealing with pennies and nickels
It's
and
tough.
dimes?
Yeah.
So our products is just around $10, and it's perfect because we're just like, everything is $10.
Yeah.
And it just makes it really easy. So I would say, just because, when the market's going, sometimes it's really busy and you are kind of flying and you have to go through stuff really fast. It would just be easier if it was round numbers. So just round a little bit up, figure out how much the tax would be for...
Right, and then back it
Different-
what
and
you
back
really
it
want to
out.
get
Yeah.
for it, and then back it out. You may
And
pick
just
up a
make
few
sure you
extra
keep
cents.
track of it.
Yeah, absolutely. That you got to track it.
Track that data.
I don't think any of our hot food vendors in any of our markets charge tax above the price. They're backing it out. But I see a lot of non-food vendors, artists and craftspeople, especially with higher priced items, where they'll put the price on, but then when they ring it up, oftentimes it's a credit card sale and they do add tax.
That's true. Yeah. When I get my beauty care products at the
Right.
farmer's market,
Clothing.
they add tax on there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But food, it's easier because like when I go to the markets with my kids, it's like, they want a $10 barbecue parfait or whatever from Ranchwood. I give her $10, so then if it's like $11.25 and she doesn't have the tax to cover, I mean, things like that happen at the market. You're just kind of wandering around and have some cash in your pocket. So I think that maybe rounding it up and then backing that tax out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
be
go with
better.
that. Good question.
That was a good question. Okay, this is a good question too, because I feel like vendors ask us this at the market a lot. Okay, I just started at a farmer's market and things aren't off to a great start. Oh, no one seems to be very interested in my products and sales are very slow. I'm wondering if it's worth it at all. This is kind of sad.
Aww.
How long should I wait before throwing in the towel? I'm glad this question's asked because I feel like this happens
Yeah.
All the time.
for one reason or another. Vendors feel this way, especially when they're first starting out. So what's your input on this question?
Well, I mean, when they say they just started, I wonder how
Yeah.
long they've been going.
Yeah.
So we usually hear this question around week 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's when it comes up the most often because people that haven't started businesses before, they think that you're going to open and they look around a busy farmer's market and they say, I'm going to open my tent and everybody's going to buy everything I've got on the table that first day.
Yeah.
And that just isn't really how farmer's market shoppers work. You have to build up their trust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And this has happened to us tons of times. We've been in a bunch of different markets and this has happened to us. It's also happened to us the opposite way where we started this one market and the first 4 weeks were out of control. We were like,
Oh, that's
our
good.
sales were so high and it was great. And we're like, this is awesome. We love this market. But then we realized that about a month in that it was a really small market and it was a very local community market. And so after a month, everybody in the neighborhood had our product.
They had your
and
sauce
they
in
were
the
ready
fridge.
for more.
Yeah.
And so it ended up kind of, after a month or two, we realized, okay, like maybe this isn't going to be as good for us. So I would say definitely give it about 6 to 8 weeks. By then you'll know. Also, it might be a seasonal thing. We don't know what you're selling.
Yeah.
But maybe it's something that, in these summertime months, people don't want a pie pop. They want a popsicle.
Cat always wants a pie pop. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Seasonal things.
It might be because of the weather. It might be because, I don't know, whatever you're selling people just aren't into right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or it might be because the neighborhood you're serving isn't really interested in your product. But I think that because you're so new, there's too many variables to just point and say that it's because people don't want what you're selling. It could be a lot of different things. Yeah, so sometimes you just have to make that call and say, I can't afford to be here because of labor, because of the booth fee. But if you can swing it, I'd give it a couple more weeks.
I'd really like to know where they are in the cycle, though, because if what they're saying is they're only a couple weeks in, first of all, I'm going to say somebody should have advised you not to start if you can't afford to go more than a few weeks.
Exactly. Yeah, you should have the startup to be there, and even if you're not selling not anything, but like when you start a new restaurant or a brick and mortar, they tell you like have 6 months to a year reserve to just get your business started. So in the farmer's market, it doesn't take that long, but you want to have like 6 weeks.
Time.
Yeah, it takes 6 to 8 weeks to you should have that reserve. So if you don't have it enough to pay your staff, pay the booth fee, pay for your inventory and your product to be there and kind of have a presence for 6 to 8 weeks, you shouldn't
You're not ready to start.
You shouldn't start at all. Yeah, and that's just really the truth of it, because you're going to get, sad about it.
Yeah. And try different things. Maybe you need a better sign.
Yeah.
Or
sometimes it's that simple.
Maybe you need to wear a t-shirt that has your logo on it. Or maybe, you could talk to your market manager about trying out a different spot in the market. Or
it'd be interesting to know, too, just what kind of personality this person has.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes it's they don't seem interested in your product. Do you look like you're interested in your product? Or are you sitting in the back texting? Are you standing up so that you're at eye level with your customers? Or you're on a chair, behind the table?
Or are you giving out samples? Sometimes people don't feel like they need to give out samples, but that's really what gets people interested in your product. Or maybe this happened to us. We were sampling on bread that people didn't really like, and so they didn't really like our product, and then we switched to a different type of bread and our sales went up. So really just simple things, like look at your whole setup and see, maybe it's too sunny and you need to put an umbrella in front of your booth because people don't want to stand in the sun while they're sampling. So just try as many things as you can before you give up, and I hope that it works out for you.
Yeah, I would say don't throw in the towel, because if you're already in the market and you've started this business, obviously you've put some money and time into it. And so I would say just stick with it. And just try changing things. Don't stick with it and keep everything the same, because there's clearly something that's not working. But stick with it and really ask around, are you advertising your own business at the market? Do you have social media? Are you out there saying, hey, I'm at the market? Or are you relying solely on the market to advertise for you? Because as much as market managers advertise the market to get shoppers there, it's really up to each individual vendor to also kind of pile on that and get their own shoppers generated
and
there.
be able to stand out at the market. A good market has got a lot of interesting vendors in it, and if you haven't done some of your own marketing to stand out, they may just be missing you.
Yeah.
I feel like I want you to send a follow-up back in and tell us how long you're in the market and if you've tried a couple of these ideas, because we're rooting for you. We're rooting for you.
We should ask these people, please. I hope you're all listening, because then you can tell us how this went for you. Update. We're having an update episode. That's a good question, though, because I do feel like people it's overwhelming. It's a small business, and it's,
it's scary.
It's a lot. It's
and
scary.
I do have to say, there's nothing sadder than putting your baby out there, wearing your heart on your sleeve, showing the world what you've been working on, and then standing there and having a day where nobody talks to you.
Oh, yeah.
And you make 2 sales, and they're to people that that they feel sorry for you. They're pity sales.
Pity sales.
And then you're
you
just
hold out that sample and they shake their head.
You're sunburnt. And then at the end of the day, you're like, all right, I'm just going to, buy myself lunch. And then you spend all the money you made buying lunch to make yourself feel better. I've been there.
So
I know.
sad. Yeah.
But strangely enough, being in the markets now for 3 years, you have a bad month, and then somehow the next month is better. And it weirdly evens it out. So I'd say just keep trying, and hopefully it works.
Yeah.
Hang in there.
Okay. So this is our last question here for today. All right. I'm ready to begin selling jam at the farmer's market. I know I've put a lot of time into my logo and packaging, but I'm stumped with the label. I've heard I don't have to include items like nutrition facts and barcodes for farmers markets, but I see other farmers market products include these. Should I include them just because? Will it make me look unprofessional if I don't include them? That's a good question too.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a good question because they're realizing it's a question. That's good. Like
yeah, instead of just like, I don't care about my labels. Yeah.
Here we go. Here's my label.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff is legal. I mean, there are some legal requirements, both on a federal level and on your own state level. They're going to tell you about what you absolutely have to have on the package. So that's important. Make sure that you know what the regulations are. Ask your farmer's market manager. Ask your health department. They can usually tell you. But then you've got some choices to make.
Yeah. Yeah. For us, when we started, we just went ahead and like slapped it all out on there. But I think it really also depends on what are your goals kind of more long term. Are you really just want to be in the farmer's market, or do you see yourself down the line being interested in getting into retail locations? Because if you want to sell in stores, they're going to have more requirements for what they want on your label. So like the UPC code is something that helps retailers. Nutrition facts are going to be something that a grocery store would require that you have on your label. So, if you want to start out just having kind of a proto version of your label, which is really for your farmer's market, then you don't need a whole lot. You need your ingredients and whatever your local health department requires. But if you see yourself down the line wanting to sell retail, then that may be something that you want to go ahead and start out with. So I think it really depends on where you see yourself going, and also how much you have in your budget for design. Maybe right now you just, your brother-in-law is a designer and he does some stuff for you, family friend deal. But down the line, you really want to put a lot more effort into your packaging or your design. But I have found that at the farmer's market, our customers are really concerned with nutrition facts. And when they're able to look and see how many grams of sugar there are in a single serving, they really like that. I mean,
that's important to me. I don't buy stuff that without knowing that. If it's not on the label at the farmer's market, I'll talk to the vendor.
Yeah.
But I'd be much more comfortable to be able to pick up a label and see what's in it.
Yeah, and I think more and more as people are becoming more health conscious, and also people are used to going to the grocery store, picking up something, and immediately being able to read that. So I think that's one way to help convert grocery store shoppers to farmers market shoppers. As much information as you can give them or kind of simulate the supermarket experience for them is helpful. So I'd say that if you have the ability, go ahead and do it. It's not going to hurt you. It's only going to help you, and that way later down the line you don't have to completely change your label if you want to add a nutrition facts panel or if you want to add a UPC code.
Yeah, I think so too. And I give away stuff at farmers markets as gifts. And so you never know what the recipient would like. Like, do they want to know? I don't necessarily look at all those labels all the time, but some people, if I bought something for a friend and they were really watching their sugar or they needed to see other kind of like sodium or anything on labels, then it'd be good to have that on there for them.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And Justine, haven't you said sometimes it's just smart to do that at the beginning so you don't have to reorder labels? Labels cost.
Yeah, we made so many mistakes with our labels, but yeah, the more labels you order, the cheaper they are per unit. So
Start at the beginning with everything you want on there.
Yeah. That's a good question. I think label questions are always good. And go make that jam and call us with jam. We want jam and cake and pie pops.
Jam and pie pops.
We want jam pie pops.
Ooh.
Okay, those are really good questions. So we really always like to hear your questions too. So we always have a guest on typically, but we will kind of take questions that we get and maybe ask our guests if we have an expert in that field. So if you have any other questions or if this is sparking some questions in you, always feel free to contact us through our website, intensebusiness.com, or through our Instagram at intensebusiness. You can always just pop us questions, and then whoever we're talking to next, if they are in a field that can answer that, then we can ask them the question.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great. And then speaking of questions, we have our question of the week for us. So this is just a question that we do every week that's tailored to the topic that we're speaking about. And we're just going to kind of go around here and ask each other from our own perspective. So Kat and I are market managers and Justine is a vendor. But what makes a VIP vendor?
Ooh,
yeah,
VIP vendor.
Kat, what do you think?
There's a few things. One of them is a really great product.
Yeah.
But showing up on time really counts.
Yeah.
That just counts for a lot. So Being courteous of your fellow vendors, that's really important. Being there when you say you're going to be there. Having all of your equipment with you. Not forgetting your hand wash station. I could go on for a while, but it's that kind of covers it.
The basic rule, like covering the basic rules, is really important, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Justine, what do you think? What makes like a really good vendor? I know you guys are vendors, but
what makes a good neighbor vendor?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, well, I'll start with what I think makes a VIP vendor is being a vendor. When you're a vendor, you're the person there selling it, and I think that not everybody is. That's not everybody's strength. Like, for example, I'm here recording a podcast with you guys. My husband's at the market right now, and he's the one selling it. And I think that he makes for the better salesman. So I think, there's so many people that make amazing products and they don't enjoy sales. And so sometimes when they're there, it's obvious they don't like it. And so that doesn't translate well, and it gives the market a weird vibe if everybody there doesn't want to be there. So I think that one thing that makes a VIP vendor is, either getting into it and just doing it, or finding somebody that really wants to be there and feels comfortable in that sales position.
Yeah, maybe your spot is better in the kitchen, and your nephew should be in the booth because he likes to talk to new people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when people don't want to be there, they end up like sitting on their cooler, staring at their phone, or wandering around the market, just talking to other vendors. Or so I think that being a VIP vendor is somebody who's committed to stay in the booth, give it their all, talk to customers. And I know that at least for me, that's really uncomfortable. But when I'm there, I try to be really present. And I think that that's what makes a quality vendor. And the same goes for what makes a good vendor neighbor is those people that are actually, enjoying that we're right now at the Little Italy market. We have like a nice little crew of like people are really in
your little squad,
happy
right
vendors, and we can kind of yell back and forth and talk, but we're all there to sell. And so I think the toughest type of vendor neighbor is somebody who doesn't want to be there and they end up just talking to you all day, or they interrupt your sales and you're like, dude, I almost closed that one, but you interrupted.
They just want to chat.
Yeah.
I would say all those things as well, but then also the vendors that are all about the market, off market hours. So people that like talk about the market when they're out. I've had customers come and say, "Oh yeah, I saw like your olive oil vendor like when I was out having dinner, and she told me about this market, and I never knew it was here." And it's like that makes me feel really good that like our vendors are getting out in the community where the market is and being like, "Hey, did you know that there's a farmer's market on Tuesday? Like, come, I didn't know." So I just think that's nice to when the vendors kind of get out there and they aren't just about like from 2 to 7 on Tuesday. They're about the market. It's like, this is your business and this is a community and like a market family. And they really act like it's important to them that the market, the whole thing succeeds.
That's
so
good.
I just like that, it just makes better vibe, and it gets the community involved, so doing that work off market hours. Yeah.
People who are committed to the market as a whole and not just their specific
exactly
piece of it.
Yeah, because I know some vendors are just like, I'm here to sell my product and then I leave. And so it's, which can work, I guess, but it's just it makes the whole market successful. And if you are part of that market, that means that you will be successful. So just taking that attitude about it, I think is important.
Yeah, that's a good one.
VIP. Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks, ladies. I think that was really good. I know that we're trying to really educate our listeners about, how to be a great vendor, market manager, farmer who sells in markets. And so we like these questions. So definitely keep them coming. All right. Thanks for listening to our Q&A with your Tent Talk experts. There was a few questions we didn't get to answer, and I know that there's a lot more brewing out there. So be sure that you join us at our Intense Conference happening in February. And right now we're having a special. It ends September 1st. It's our Three's Company Early Bird Special. So this special, you can buy 2 tickets to Intense and get 1 free. So you can bring your whole crew to the conference. We also have our Vendor 101 if you're local here in San Diego. It's our one-day workshop for people who are looking to get started as vendors in farmers markets, and that's happening Monday, September 24th. And you can find information for that workshop at vendor-101.com.
This podcast is produced by Intense Business, where passion meets profit. Today's episode was recorded and edited by Justine Marzoni Mead. Original music by David Mead. Special thanks to Vendor 101 and San Diego Markets.